Hello everyone, welcome back to Swayam course, the lecture series, Introductions to Farm Machinery and Implement. So in this class, in this lecture, we are going to discuss the second lecture in Module 2, that is about primary tillage implements, under which the indigenous plough and MB plough. In the previous lecture, we talked about tillage, need of tillage, its objectives, classifications of tillage system, and classifications of tractor attached implements. So in this class, we are going to talk about primary tillage implement, particularly indigenous plough and MB plough. Plough is a primary tillage implement. Whenever the word plough comes to your mind, you should clearly say that it is a primary tillage implement. So ploughs are refers to primary tillage implement and harrows are to the second tillage implement. Ploughing is a primary tillage operation which perform to cut the soil, break the soil mass and invert the soil partially or completely. And the main implement primary tillage operations is the plough. The main implement used for primary tillage operation is the plough. Ploughing is essentially means opening up of upper crust of soil, breaking the clods and making the soil suitable for sowing of seeds. The purpose summarized through following points which were also discussed while talking about objectives of ploughing or tillage. So ploughing is done to obtain a deep seed bed for good texture, to increase the water holding absorption capacity of the soil, to improve the soil aeration and to destroy the weeds and grass, to destroy the insect pests which were soil borne type and breeding in the soil, to prevent the soil erosion and also to add fertility into the soil by covering vegetation. So these are all some of the purposes for which the ploughing is done. So the purpose of ploughing is also the objectives of tillage in most of cases. So ploughing may be two types, normal ploughing or contour ploughing. So this classification is on the basis of on the way the ploughing is performed. When normal ploughing suggests that it is the ploughing where the depth of ploughing is limited to 15 centimeters only. So normal ploughing is nothing but whenever the ploughing is done to a depth less than 15 centimeter or up to 15 centimeters. So when the ploughing is done more than 50 centimeter, then it will be called as a deep ploughing. So that is rarely performed and it is performed once or twice in a year. Whereas normal ploughing is the depth of ploughing which is always performed whenever the ploughing is done. The another term called contour ploughing, it is the special type of ploughing where the ploughing is done by cutting the soil and breaking the crust and turning the soil mass along the contours. As there is a contour lines or slope in the land, according to that the soil will be cut, broken and inverted or turned. So the contour ploughing is generally performed in hilly areas, mountainous areas where the undulation of land is more, and ploughing irrespective of the slope leads to more erosion and more soil loss. To prevent that, the contour ploughing is done. So that is limited to contour ploughing is limited to hilly area and mountainous area where there is more undulation of land. When it comes to the types of implement used for plough under the primary tillage implements, under the primary tillage category, so there are different types of ploughs are used at different places. There may be indigenous plough, it may be a moldboard plough, it may be a disc plough, it may be a chisel plough or subsoiler and rotary plough. So these are all the commonly used primary tillage implements. So you might have seen any one of these or all of them, and any one of these will be used at a time or in a season. Indigenous plough, as this name reflects, from the name we can see indigenous is nothing but the one which is locally made. So indigenous plough is the most commonly used country plough in this country. It is used most commonly and therefore it is also called as a country plough, and somewhere it is also called as desi plough, and it is most commonly used animal drawn implement. As far as the animal drawn implements are concerned, particularly for the plough, indigenous plough is the most commonly used type of implement, and it is called as country plough, it is called as desi plough as well. The shape and size of this plough varies with the place and the region in order to suit the variety of soil conditions and tillage requirement. In case of heavy soil, the size of the plough will be small because larger the size in heavy soil, the more energy it demands and pair of bullocks cannot pull it. Whereas in case of light soil condition, you may go with the bigger size also because the soil resistance offered over the implement will be low, and a pair of bullocks can easily pull it. As far as parts of the plough is concerned, the main parts are like body, share, show, beam, and handle. So these are all the main parts of. Body is the main frame to which the other part of the plough like show, beam, and handle, they all are attached. The share is a narrow steel bar. It is the only part in this plough made up of metal, and rest will be from wooden material. Share is a narrow steel bar attached to the upper surface of the show longitudinally along the center line, and the handle is generally attached to the body of the plough. So if you want to see how does it look like, you can see this is how indigenous plough will look like. So to the left there are two pictures, line diagram, where you can clearly see the handle, the body of plough, the beam, show. Over the surface of the show, upper surface of the show, there is a metallic blade which we called as a share. So this is how the ploughs are made in case of desi plough or country plough. The share is always attached to the show, which actually penetrate into the soil, and it will break the soil and open the soil. So share is the part which penetrate into the soil, cut the soil, and help the soil to lift it up. And show is the part of the plough which helps make the flow stable while it is operating, and that's why it stabilizes and balances the plough so that it will not move here and there while it is working in the field, and it will be under control of a operator or a farmer using it. So that is the reason the show will be designed something like to look like a boat, bottom surface of the boat. So how does boat look from the bottom? So like that, the boat kind of design will be provided into the show so that it will keep the plough stable and stabilized and balance the forces acting on it while it is operating. The plough is provided with wooden beam and handle. The intention, major reason behind using more portions of wood rather than metal is to make it light in weight. If you make the entire plough with the metals, then it comes with heavy in weight, and animal cannot pull it the draft will be more, and that's why indigenous ploughs are generally made from wooden material, and it will use share as a metal part, share metallic part of the only metallic part in the implement is the share. So as you can see, this is how it will be tied into the pair of bullocks with the help of a yoke and the thread or a rope. Sometime in the place of rope, the chains are also used, and as you ride the animals, they keep pulling the implement. So as they pull, the implement penetrate into the soil, and that's how it will open up the soil. So generally, indigenous plough will open a triangular shape of furrow. So as the ploughing is done, the furrow will have a triangular shape. So next is the moldboard plough. Moldboard plough is a very common type of plough, whether it is a animal drawn implement or it is a tractor drawn implement. In both the cases, primary moldboard plough is quite common nowadays, and particularly in tractor drawn implements, the moldboard plough is more popular. This plough performs several of functions at a time. Those functions are cutting of furrow slice. Then that cut furrow slice will be lifted up, and as it lifted to certain height, it will be turned into the furrow slice, and while turning them, it will also pulverizes the soil. So this is how the various functions MB plough performs in a go. So there are some components, main parts of the MB plough also, like share, moldboard, landside, frog, and tilepiece. These are all the main part of the MB plough, as you can see in the picture. So share is again the main part of the plough where it cuts the soil horizontally, and this is the point of the plough where it penetrates first into the soil. So shear will cut the soil mass, and the cut soil mass by the shear will move to the mold board, and mold board will receive it up. It receives and it will lift it up, and as it lifts, it will at the end it will turn it up and pulverize the soil. So landside is another part of the plough. It helps to keep the plough under stabilized condition. Frog is the main part of the plough into which the other part of the ploughs are attached with the suitable nut and bolt mechanism. And tile piece, it comes with an need based options. It is not always present in all type of MB plough. If you want to have more inversion, then only the tile piece will be attached to the rear part of the mold board, and that's how they combine together form the mold board. So this is how in an expanded view all parts of the mold board plough can be depicted. So shear is attached to the mold board and also to the frog, and mold board is attached to the frog. Landside is also into the frog, and that's how they all combined together will form a plough bottom. So whenever this forms a plough bottom like this, so we will call it as a one plough bottom. So if there are more than one, that number of bottoms we call it for any given plough. Shear, as I was saying, it is the part of the plough bottom which penetrates into the soil first and make a horizontal cut below the surface, and till that depth where it cut the soil horizontally from the ground surface, that whole depth of soil mass will be lifted up later. So in order since it is the part going to cut the soil, it comes with sharp and well polished pointed part within it. And there are 4 types of shears available in the market. This namely they are slip shear, slip nose shear, shin shear, and bar point shear. As you can see in this picture, the first one is the slip shear. It is the single piece shear having curved cutting edge. As you can see, there is a one pointed part at the front, and later it has some curved plane. So from the pointed point is called as the shear point, and the rest is called as the cutting edge, wing, gunnel, like that. The shear is also have its own parts. So the slip type shear is a type of shear, single piece kind of shear having curved cutting edge. They cut the soil and help the soil to move towards the mold board plough. So this slip shear soil, whenever they wear out because of constant use, and that point of the shear becomes blunt, then you need to replace the entire part. So that's somewhere not economical. So realizing it, scientists discovered slip nose shear, where the slip nose shear will comes with replaceable nose. As you can see in this picture, the second one, there is a replaceable nose. So that replaceable nose help us whenever that point becomes blunt. So then no need to replace the entire part. Instead, you only replace that nose. So that's how it is more economical, because replacing the nose will fetch you less money compared to replacing the whole part, as it was the case in the slip shear. Shin shear is a similar type of slip shear, but it has some extension towards the mold board. So that extension provide more sturdy strength into the shear when it is working in hard soil. The last one is the bar point shear, as its name suggests. So here there is a bar which will act like a shear point into the shear, and also somewhere it serves the purpose of land side. So that's why this type of shears are called as bar point shear. So that bar will serve as a land side, and at the same time the forward point of that bar will act like a shear point. So bar point shear is quite common in case of tractor drawn mold board plough, whereas slip shear is quite common in animal drawn MB plough. So the next part of the mold board plough is a mold board. So mold board is the main important part, because the shear is responsible for cutting the soil to a designed depth, and as that shear cuts the soil mass, and entire soil mass will be received by the mold board, and this received furrow slice will be lifted up and it will be turned and pulverized, and that all will be taken care by the mold board. So mold board is a curved part which will help to receive the furrow slice and lift them and turn them so that the soil mass will be pulverized. So in order to suit the soil conditions and crop requirement, the mold board will be designed in several shapes. There are 4 types of mold boards available in the market. The one is general purpose, second one is a stubble mold board, third one is a sod or breaker, and fourth one is a slat. So like that, 4 types of mold boards are available. In case of general purpose mold board, as its name indicate, it can be used for all kind of general operations. So general ploughing, irrespective of any special type of field requirement, so it may be used. So general purpose ploughs have some features like it has a wide mold board, and its curvature, that is the curved surface on its surface, is gradual, not rapid, not an abrupt, and therefore they give a thorough pulverization. So as the soil received from the shade, they all will be lifted up, and they will be inverted. So the soil mass is inverted, the soil condition of the soil will be more pulverized, because the curvature of this plough mold board is gradual. The stubble type of mold board is a special type of mold board with shorter mold board and abrupt curvature on its rear end, and that help to collect the soil mass and throw them out, or lift them and throw them out as quickly as possible because of abrupt curvature on it. So abrupt curvature throw the soil as quickly as they receive, whereas general purpose mold board, which is having gradual curvature or a twist on its surface, they slowly throw the soil. So stubble mold board are generally designed to work in the field where the soil is that field is consists of a stubbles of previous crop. So wherever there is a presence of stubbles from the previously harvested crops, in such field the general purpose mold board cannot work well. And in order to increase the work efficiency or to obtain a good tilt, so stubble mold boards are used in such field where there is a stubbles present from the previous harvested crops. And pulverization is also rapid in case of a stubble mold board, because it receives the soil and it throws them as soon as it receives the soil, and that's how the pulverization will be achieved, more pulverization. The third type of mold board is a sod or breaker mold board, where it has a shorter mold board in terms of width and abrupt curvature at the rear. So this type of, whereas in the stubble type mold board plough, they are not suitable for the field where the field is completely consists of soil cover plant material. So where there are soil cover plants present in the field, in that field stubble mold board can't work satisfactorily. So in order to work in such field where the soil is completely full of soil cover like grasses and other plant material fully covered over the surface, which preventing the penetration of the plough, in such cases sod or breaker mold boards are used, since they are having shorter and longer mold board and sharper points. So they penetrate well in such soils where the soil is consisting of soil is soddy and consisting of a grass and all, which we call them as a soil cover. The last one is the slat type mold board. The slat type mold board is the one where the number of slats are arranged on the surface of the mold board in such a way so there will be a gap between 2 slats. So this type of slat type mold board plough are specially designed to work in sticky soil where there is a more adhesiveness. Because of that, the soil tend to stick into the mold board, and that prevent this plough penetrating deep in the soil. So whenever the soil sticks to the mold board, it is not scoring off, then less scoring will choke the plough. So choking of plough will cause surface ploughing rather than penetrating deep in the soil. So slat mold board ploughs are designed in such a way in order to reduce the surface area, and that's how the soil resistance offered over the surface will be minimized, and that will helps to score the soil as early as possible. And for the sticky soils, the slot type moldboards are used. For the soil or the field where the soil consists of full of cover material, cover plant material, in such cases sod or breaker moldboards are used. When there is a field full of stubbles of previously harvested crop, in such cases stubble type moldboards are used. In any general applications or general purpose moldboards are used. And like that, all these 4 designs of moldboards and shape of moldboards have their own application. So land side is another part of the plough, as you can see in this picture. So land side is the part which bears against the soil surface furrow wall, and it transmits the rear side of the lateral thrust into the furrow wall. So what happens whenever the soil is cut by the furrow, shear, so that furrow soil mass will be received by the moldboard, and as the soil mass reaches into the moldboard, there will be a more resultant force acting upon the moldboard, particularly to the half of the plough. So that will tend to cause a rotational effect on the plough, and if that implement is not stabilized from that rotational effect, then ploughing is quite difficult. To nullify that rotational effect being acting upon a plough bottom, so land sides are provided. So land sides will move against the furrow wall of the furrow, and that's how they transmit the lateral thrust into those furrow wall. So it helps to resist the side pressure exerted by the furrow slice on the MB plough moldboard, and it also helps to stabilizing the plough when it is in operation. So while it is operation, there will be a force acting upon the moldboard, so that tend to cause rotational effect on the plough, and to nullify that, the shares are provided, land sides are provided. Land side will move close to the in contact with the furrow wall, and meanwhile they receive the lateral thrust from the plough and transfer it into furrow wall. The another part here in the MB plough is the frog. The frog is not the one which lays in water. So here the frog is the irregular piece of metal in the MB plough, over which the other part of the ploughs are attached to it with the help of a specialized nut and bolt. So the special kind of bolt used in the moldboard plough is a countershank bolt. It's a type of bolt with flat head, so that will be used to fasten all these parts into the frog, the component called frog in the MB plough. So tile piece is an optional kind of part or component of the MB plough. It is attached to the moldboard at the rear end of the moldboard as an extension, and it will help you further inversion of the soil. So if you want to invert soil more, and in such cases the tile piece is attached. Otherwise, in general, the tile piece is not used in MB plough. There are some accessories of the plough, MB plough particularly, which may be used, or some ploughs comes with the accessories, and not mandatorily they are used. They are need based. So again, the accessories of the plough. What are all those accessories? They may be jointer, it may be a coulter, it may be a gauge wheel, land wheel, and furrow wheel. So jointer or coulter, they may be used alternatively, not always used. Both of them are not used at a time. Either the plough is equipped with the jointer or the coulter, because the both are used to serve the same task. So the jointer is a miniature type of plough. It is always placed at the in front of the plough bottom. So it is always put in front of the main plough bottom, and as the plough is pulled, the jointer will penetrate first into the soil to a very shallow depth, and it will remove the shallow depth of small ribbon like soil furrows in front of the main plough. So how does it help the plough, and what is the need of having the jointer? Jointer is a, as I told you, miniature kind of plough, and it is placed in front of the main plough bottom, and it will clear the land in front of the main plough bottom, and that's how the clearing the land will help to main plough bottom to go deeper in the soil. If not cleared, as you can see in the pictures, the middle picture, where the soil is full of green plants, and also there are crop residues which are generated from the previous harvest in that field. In such cases, the plough will not penetrate, because the surface soil cover which is there in that field will prevent that plough penetrating deep in the soil. In such cases, having miniature plough as a jointer, so that will remove the small ribbon like furrow soil mass in front of the main plough bottom and leave the land cleared for the main plough bottom. So that's how the main plough bottom goes deeper in the soil and perform to its maximum potential. Similarly, the coulter is another accessories where the coulter is used to cut the soil or is vertically in front of the main plough bottom. So coulter may be two types. It may comes as a disc type coulter, it may comes as a knife type coulter. So in both the cases, they are used to make a slit in front of the main plough bottom. So they always make a slit, vertical slit in front of main plough bottom, and that somewhere reflect into the main plough that this is the width of soil you are going to cut when as you pulled forward. So that kind of directions generally the plough will receive whenever the jointer or the coulter is used as an accessories. So any plough having equipped with jointer or coulter are sometimes referred as a directional plough or directional implement, because they are receiving directions. This is where you are going to move in this pass, and this is what the width of cut you need to have in each pass. So the directions they receive from the attached accessories, it may be jointer or a coulter, and for that reason any plough implement attached with the jointer or coulter are referred as a directional implement or directional plough. So the another three accessories are gauge wheel, land wheel and furrow wheels. As their name itself is saying, they are wheels. So some of the wheels are used to carry the weight of the implement. Some of the wheels are used to maintain the depth of ploughing. So gauge wheels is the wheel which will gauges the depth of ploughing. At what depth the ploughing must be done, that will be gauged by a type of wheel. That wheel is called as gauge wheel. As you can see in the middle one, a middle picture where the animal drawn implements is placed for ploughing. So there is a disc at the center, that silver color paint disc. So that is nothing but the gauge wheel. It may be a gauge wheel or it may be a coulter also. I am unable to differentiate between these two. If it is a coulter, then it will be placed like that. If it is a gauge wheel, it will have a more thicker wheels. It's something thinner wheel look like in this picture. Otherwise, if it is a gauge wheel, it will in the third picture you can clearly see. So in the third picture there is a wheel hanging in front of the plough bottom. So that wheel will not allow this plough to go deeper in the soil more than the set depth. So if you lift that hanging wheel above the ground surface, so that much deeper the plough will go. If you keep the if you keep the wheel close to the ground before when the plough is in rest position, then that plough will not go deeper in the soil. So that's how the gauge wheel will help you to maintain the constant depth of ploughing or control the depth of ploughing, as it is depicted in picture 3. So in the middle one, the second picture, where there is a disc hanging in front of the plough bottom colored with silver color. So that is an example for the coulter. So coulters are, it may be a disc type coulter, it may be a knife type coulter. So one you can see here, one that you are seeing here is a disc type coulter. In the same plough, there are two red colored wheels, that one is to the left of that plough, another one is to the right of that plough, and the plough which is to its right is called as the furrow wheel, whereas the wheel which is to the left of that plough is called as land wheel. So furrow wheel is the one which runs in the furrow made in the previous pass, whereas the land wheel is the one which runs on the unploughed land while the ploughing is done in the field. So these two wheels are provided to carry the weight of the implement. Sometime, as the case of this plough in the middle one, so this plough is completely made from metal materials. All parts are made from metals only. Because of that plough is heavy in nature. So that plough is heavy in nature, and you are going to pull this machine with the help of a pair of bullocks or an horse. That draught animal will not able to pull it, or even it pulls, it will not pull it in sustained work for more than 2 hours, 3 hours, because the implement weight itself is high. since it is made from all the metallic parts, and as it goes deeper due to gravity acting on it, there will be more draft that will demand more power. So in order to make the work easy and let the plough go deeper to a desired depth, so it comes with the wheels like transfer land wheel and furrow wheel. So land wheel and furrow wheel carry the weight of the implemented to go deeper to a depth set by the gauge wheel, and like that implement depth will be controlled by the gauge wheel, and soil resistance in front of the main plough bottom will be reduced by using jointer or coulter. So there are some further readings you may refer, for the better understanding of primary tillage implement related to MB plough and indigenous plough and their adjustment and their working principles. We will meet again with the another continued lecture. Thank you.